Hello, good morning. I'm already sitting down because we're going to get right into it. But today I am focused on the Alexa skill I've been working on called Voice Developer. And one of the things that I want to do today is add an engine that allows me to add SSML tags for a bunch of things. So the engine itself will serve a number of purposes. Good morning, Thomas. But one of the things that I'm going to make it do today, at least the first step, is there is a emotion tag that you can add to your SSML to make Alexa have different kinds of emotions. And so ultimately, we're going to let the user decide what they want and when they want it. But we need an engine built into our code to allow us to insert these kinds of tags as needed, as the user makes their selections. So that is what we're going to focus on today. I just noticed something that I hadn't noticed before. I had a bunch of the pops way down here fall off the shelf the other day, and I hadn't noticed until right now that in fact the light also fell off. The light is totally missing here. Let's see if we can fix that. Probably not right now. It looks like I'm going to need new 3M strips, which I don't have in the room right now with me. But here's the light. Found it. So we'll put that up a little later. That explains why so many of them just fell off the shelf randomly the other day. Okay, never mind the lights. Wow, we got a bunch of people here. Good morning, Kevin Evans, and Frank is here. Select Dev is here. Good to see you, Select. So I guess let's get right into it. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Select, you haven't been here in a while, and you'll notice that I'm kind of starting over. So I don't have a lot of the bells and whistles that I used to have in chat and stuff like that. We'll get back there. I just don't have any of that rolling these days. So we're going to share, and you get to see Infinity for a minute until I go to the developer console. And then this all looks good, but I'm going to refresh this just to get us back to where we were. And then we have some code. Okay, so this is my code. And so what I need to do first is let's start by taking a step back, Jeff. Hide that. Take a step back, and let's look at our data first. So this is my user table. I don't know why I have a gallery here. We can get rid of this. Okay, so I have a user table, and you can see here in my user table that I have some information, right? I potentially know what voice they want. I know what voice locale they want. If they have answered, is that what this one is? Answer. Link to answer, and then no, I don't think I need that column. I don't know what that would be for. Because I have done something else the other side, right? So I have user answer. I have missed answer. I don't think I need that answer column. I don't know. That must have been a remnant. Okay, so we get rid of that column. Yeah, I'm deleting it. Yeah, of course. Okay, it's good that they warned me, I guess. And you can see in here that I have achievements. I have a score. This score is not currently updated, but this will be an aggregate score of a number of things. basically things you've done. So this sound effect count, speech con count, we have an answer count. All of these counts will kind of summarize together, and that'll be your score. And then we'll have a leaderboard. All that stuff's coming. We also have poly voices. This allows you to select a specific poly voice that you want. And then I can insert that. But what we care about right now is let's come over here and look at Amazon Emotion. So the only two that we have today are excited and disappointed. But we also have intensities for those. So if you look at the whole array of them, there's 6, right? I can have low excited, low disappointed, high disappointed, on and on. I have text messages coming in. My goodness, it's going to be a day. Okay. So what I want to do is be able to insert this kind of statement inside and outside of my content. So in this case, it says Christina wins this round, right? And so if we take this piece here, we'll listen. If we take this piece and go to the console and go to the voice and tone and drop it here, we can hear this.
Christina wins this round.
Christina wins this round. If we change this to high,
Christina wins this round.
it's a little bit different. But if we take all of this away,
Christina wins this round.
you can see that there's no emotion to it, right? And so what I want to do is build a thing that allows us to go back to my data. I guess I need 2 fields here. Is that the way I want to do it? I think that is the way I want to do it because I want to be able to store this stuff all independently. So if we look at this, I have this is emotion. So we might have emotion name, emotion intensity. So there are going to be 2 new fields that we'll have to save, which is fine. So let's add a new field to our database called emotion name. And we're going to have to link this to another directory because we want to make sure that we are, yeah, that's how I do this in other cases. Okay, so that means we're going to need a new table, create an empty table. We're going to call this emotion, save. And this is, let's look at our values. The values are excited and disappointed. So we'll put in our table, excited, disappointed. I'll have a third value, and we're probably going to need to present these to the user at some point, which is all fine. All of these columns can go away. My computer's making a lot more noise than I would really appreciate. So now let's go back to user. And did it forget to do the whole thing? Okay, so insert left. Call it emotion. And we're going to link it to, not surprisingly, emotion. Can't have more than one. I don't think. Actually, that's a really good question. What? Whew, let's get into that. If I come back to here and I grab this example, just this piece, please, and we come over here. Whoa! Too much clicking. Okay, if we come over here, and we do this again, we get that.
Christina wins this round.
Christina wins this round. What if I take the other one and I put that in there too? What happened? Can I do that? Because then this becomes checkboxes and not data values. So no, if we go here and we drop this inside that one, and we take this, copy it, paste another one. What happens now?
Christina wins this round.
Does that sound any different than if I just, it might just take the near, like the most local one?
Christina wins this round.
Okay, so it appears that it's just going to take the most local one. Do we still have intro music? Of course we still have intro music. Oh, you mean for you folks when you show up? No, I don't have any intro music yet. I was just actually mentioning this, Chris, that I used to have all sorts of cool bells and whistles, and I don't have any of them right now. So they will come back. I'll bring a lot of that stuff back, but I got to get back into the groove of streaming before I worry about all the fancy chatbot stuff and whatever. But yes, that stuff will all come back. Okay, so it looks like it only takes the nearest one, which means that this is not a checkbox game. This is a data value game, and you can only pick one. So in my table here, we cannot link to multiple records. We create our field, and now we have an emotion thing. We'll just worry about that for now. And then we can worry about intensity later. We'll just do an intensity of high for now. And so, yeah, so we have this data value. So there's two pieces now that we need to think about. The first is, how do we apply a value that a user has in the table? So let's assume right now that I've already made a selection and I want excited. Okay, so excited is the emotion that I'm going to use. And I need to apply that to what's happening in my conversation. So the first thing I need to look at, and where all of this is going to happen, is actually in one specific place. If I go to my main index file, we have all these handlers, right? So this is the first thing that happens when my code gets called, is it comes in and it looks at all these individual handlers and it says, oh, okay, which one of these works for me? And there's a list down here at the bottom, this list, and it goes in order. So it looks at the launch request handler. I come up to the top, and it says, is this true? If this is true, then it's going to do whatever's here. And this happens the whole way through. So it looks at that one first, and it goes, oh, no, this isn't a launch request. And then it just moves down the list. So the order here is the order that I expect it to go through the list. And so down here at the very bottom, I have things that happen very rarely, right? Session ended requests and other stuff that the longer the if statements that I have to process through, the slightly longer that it takes. So I want the most popular, the most accessible things to be higher in the list, because then I have to check fewer if statements as I go through it. But down here at the bottom, I also have a request interceptor and a response interceptor. And so the way these work is the request interceptor is something that fires before any of my code is executed. So you can see what I do here is this is my request interceptor function. And what I do is I grab your session attributes out of the handler input, and I call the database, and I get all of your data records. So pretty much everything that's in this table for your row. I get all of those records, and I set them to my session attributes. So now they're in my session attributes, which means every other place that I go in my code, if I need something, I know that every time that someone talks to my skill, I have the most up-to-date record about that user every single time. I have been tempted in the past to modify this so that I'm just managing it in session, and then when the session ends, I persist it to the database. But until that becomes a problem for me, it's not slow. I'm not eating any bandwidth. I'm not seeing any additional costs. But I could see how this would be something if I was looking to cut costs, like if I had some bandwidth charges or something. This would be one of the first places I would probably address that. But for now, it's fine. Everything's good. So let me see if I can move this window, the infinity window. Let's see if I can move you up here. There we go. So it goes, says something's going on with the mic. Yeah, sometimes I have found I'm definitely aware of the popping and crackling, and I thank you guys for letting me know. But it's not clear to me why it's happening. I have taken apart and played with this system, and I really feel like it's on the side of the streaming software that I'm using, which I think as part of my streaming setup and as part of the things that I plan to do with all of you here, like Chris mentioned, the walk-up music and all that kind of stuff. I think I'm going to go back to a different tool for streaming, which I think will eliminate that noise entirely. But I didn't do that for today, so I apologize if there's a little popping and crackling. Okay, so what we've talked about is that I have this request log. So this is what happens before anything happens in my skill. This response log, this is my request. My response interceptor. So this is the thing that happened. This is the last thing that happens. So now we've talked to all my code. We've generated all my speech. We've done everything that I need to do to reply to my user, with the exception of actually sending the reply. And so I do a few things here. The first one here, we can clean up this code a little bit, is have a couple of things. Oh, this is a console log. Hold on. So here we go. So I have two things happening. I have a console log where I just write it out so that I can see that stuff down here. So when you see response builder, this is allowing me in my debugging to see exactly what I just said to the user. So I can just see it right here in the chat. And actually, the way that the the debugging works, local debugging works here. I can actually turn this off because it does it for me already. So you can see that I have this skill response success message. It puts all the same stuff in the same place. This is a little easier to read, but it's all right here. So this is good. Okay, so I don't even need the response builder, but what I do need is to insert some of these properties. And so I have this helper.putRepeat data. Let's take a look at what I'm doing there. Put repeat data. Put. There it is. So I am basically manipulating the output speech that I already have, right? So I have output speech and this output speech.ssml, and these are all part of my output. So if we look at this, I have output speech, and then it's output speech.ssml. So I'm checking to make sure that this property exists. If it exists, I'm grabbing this value, which in this case would look like this, right? So that's what I actually say in the value. Is that right? No, it goes to here. So this is the statement that I made, less that quotation mark. I pull that out. I add some values to new session attributes called previous speak and previous reprompt using the values that I just sent out. And the reason for this is because repeating yourself can get a little tricky. You need to know what you just said. And because of the way that I assemble and reconstruct all of these things, one of the things that I really needed to do was make sure that I am taking what I just said to the user. So my output speech SSML and my output speech reprompt, my reprompt SSML. And in both of those cases, save them to session attributes as well. So that when I come back and then you say, what did you say? I have those values available to me just sitting in session attributes. And then when you hit the repeat intent, which is say that again, all I do is take previous speak and previous reprompt and give them back to you so that you hear it again. It's a way for you to repeat the thing you heard over and over and over. It's this constant loop of back and forth. So that is the thing that I'm doing here with put repeat data. But I feel like I need another one that is put emotion or something like that. And I probably could even wrap this in an if statement. So I think what I could do, let's try this. If, and I want to say if session attributes, which I already don't have access to, so I'll have to get that. User dot emotion. Is that how I would do that? I think it is. Yeah, because I do. Yeah, that's good. So that's what we called it here in our table, right? The name of the field is emotion. Okay. The other thing we want to see, I can probably close that. The other thing that I want to see is what the value actually comes through like. So I'm looking for the wrong way. Okay. So if this, I'm going to say if it equals, no, I could just say if it exists, right? If this thing exists, doesn't equal undefined. Then that means that I have an emotion. And then I could do something like helper.put repeat data handler input. And I don't actually want to call put repeat data. What I want to do is put emotion. We'll just call it put emotion. Put emotion SSML. Good. Okay. So now I have a function. Now I need to actually have that function exist. So let's go to our helper. And we can do this right after this. I need to clean this file up. There's been so much weird formatting and stuff applied to it. But we'll do it right here. So function put emotion SSML. I love you, VS Code. Handler is what we're going to call that. And there we go. We have our function. And I probably need to output this. Put emotion SSML. There we go. All right. So now that I have my function existing, where did it go? Put emotion SSML. We're going to do a lot of the same stuff. Do I need session attributes? I think I could actually do myself one better here and just say if this exists, then pass that in. Cool. And we need this line because I need to be able to check those session attributes. So we're going to drop that bad boy right there. Our if statement, this is still just here for fun. So if the emotion exists, then we're just going to pass the emotion into the function. I think that's better. And then in my helper, we're not going to say handler input. We're going to say emotion, and then we're going to need to do some work. And this has to happen before the repeat. So let's also do this, because we wouldn't want to lose the emotion if they say repeat. So this has to be part of the SSML before I add the repeat data. Okay, so we have put emotion SSML. We're making our way here. What I need to do is something like this. Kind of like this. So we're going to have, gosh, this is so gross. That should be there. There's nothing else in this file, right? Like there's no like wrapper. I don't know why I've done this or how this has happened. Okay, so we're just gonna start the right way. Also, stop with the tiny tabs. I'd like a little more. I guess it's fine. Okay, I'm just getting frustrated here. Okay, so first things first, I need. Let's do var output speech, and that's going to equal a thing. We're going to have var reprompt speech, and that's going to equal a thing. And the things that they're going to equal, it looks like we also need this. So let's copy that. So the first thing we're going to do is get out of our handler input. We have this thing called response builder that contains all of the content that we want. And so we've got response. And so what we want to do is say, I mean, I guess I still have to do all this ifness because it's possible it doesn't exist, but let's do this. If response.output speech and the SSML property for it exists, then we're going to do a thing. Then we're going to do a thing. And then we'll have to do the same thing for if the reprompt thing exists. So do another one right here. Let's clean this up. I find this more readable. Like I mean, if there was 10 or something, I could see breaking them down into individual lines, but I like having all of the stuff just on one line. Like, okay, this, and this. I feel like when I break these things down into all of these lines, sometimes it's harder to read. Okay, so this piece is going to go here. This piece is going to go here. Let's set them equal to nothing. Oh, so bit of all curves. Okay. So we've done a thing that does nothing so far. And what do I do here at the end? I'm setting. Interesting. I'm setting session attributes, but in this case, I'm going to have to actually replace. I'm gonna get to do this again. This is gonna be fun. Okay, I'm gonna just take this as well. I wonder if I can do this a better way. So I have in my helper, I have handler input.response builder.get response. I wonder if I could just say response.speak. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out what we can do here because I'm manipulating this response, which is generally called as a function. I don't know. I've never done this before. This is going to be fun. Okay. Actually, I have done this before. I'm lying to myself. Where have I done this before? If we go to GitHub, I should look at how I've done this before. That would make sense rather than reinventing the wheel. If I sign in, oh, you're going to make me do that. Can I do that instead? Yeah, let's do that instead. Give me all the options. Okay. Authenticator. Sweet. Okay. Now I would have done this in, what would I have done this in? Show more. Probably a previous version of like the dev tips, maybe. What if we just search for dev tips? I feel like I've already done some of this logic. So if I go to index and I look down here at the bottom in my response thing, not doing it here. That's because I'm looking at the project I'm currently working on, I think. Is that possible? No. Where would I change out the users? Like I did this in a skill. Oh, it's probably achievement unlocked. Yeah, this was another idea I had for a skill where you could just do all sorts of things. And this was before I was better at Node. I did a lot of the stuff right here in line, but down here at the bottom, where would I have done that? Do I do it on the way in? Get user record. I mean, I know I changed voices in here, so can we set voice? So okay. This is harder, or it's not harder. This is actually the easy way. It's just a lot more work. Where what I do is every place that I have speech, I'm setting a voice or I'm setting an emotion, and I have to call that function every single time, everywhere. Which is it's a lot more fragile. This feels more brute forcey. I can just kind of do what I want to do when I want to do it. We just need to wrap some things. So for put emotion SSML, I think we can do this. So var output speech is going to equal this. And then we're going to take some replace liberties, and we're going to replace with nothing. We're going to replace /speak. And that gets us the value that we want. And so we should be able to do the same idea. So this is going to be response.reprompt.output speech.ssml. Okay. All right, so I've ripped the speak tags off, which means now I can wrap the rest of the content in the thing that I want. So this should be relatively straightforward. I know the emotion that they're going to use. So I just want to say output speech equals, and then we're going to have our emotion tag. So let's go look at our syntax. We're going to take our emotion tag like this. And again, for now, the intensity is just going to be high. We'll just leave it that way. We need some of these. So that is the piece I need. This needs to be emotion. And then we're going to change this to high. Again, just hard coding it. And we need to put output speech inside output speech. One of those. Okay. So that is now output speech. And then I wonder if I could just say handler input. We're going to do this at the end. So once we have, oh, can I do that? So many complications. What I want to do is like this. Speak, prompt, like the response. That looks exactly like what we do everywhere else, right? Handler input dot response builder dot speak dot reprompt dot get response, and I have the same thing here. Speak, reprompt, get response. All right, what do I call those values when I do them everywhere else? I call them speak output and action query. Action query doesn't make a lot of sense here, but speak output, reprompt output. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Var speak output equals nothing, and we're just gonna take this, this, this. That will be our speak output. Then we're also going to need an empty one for var reprompt output. Now, the likelihood that these variables would ever be empty is extraordinarily low. If that isn't obvious what I'm doing here. Okay, so then we're going to take this and drop it here, but it's actually going to be reprompt output. Output. So now we're applying those emotions, and then we just need to put speak output here, and I think this will rewrap it in the speak tags for me, which would be great. I don't actually know how this is going to go. It may be very angry at me for doing this. I'm not even sure. Do I need to return it? I don't think I do. Session attributes. All right. Well, let's see. We passed the first bar, which is that it compiled and built. So now let's go over to our testing console. And let's say open voice developer, and it'll blow up right now, probably.
Jeff, I had trouble doing what you asked.
Now, that doesn't surprise me.
Please try again.
And the reason that you had trouble doing it is because handler input is not defined on helper 109. I thought I did that. 109 is, I'm sorry, what? What? Oh, helper 109. I was like, what? Okay, we're just gonna do this. So handler input, I'll pass in there, and then over here where we call it, we are going to say we'll just pass handler input through. We get handler input here, and then we can say const emotion. And I should also console.log. I don't actually know. Emotion equals emotion. Other feature here is that it's going to give me a database record ID rather than the name of the thing, but we'll see. So let's fire that back up. Still compiles, good sign. And try all of that again. Open voice developer is what we want to do. Okay, here we go.
Jeff, I had trouble doing what you asked. Please try again.
Session attributes is not defined. Yeah, you're totally right. I didn't do that. So let's do that. And then we're going to clean up this file because this helper file is really helpful, but it's a mess right now. Okay, so now we have session attributes available as well. Still good. And then let's try this one more time. Open voice developer.
There was a problem with the requested skills
Okay,
response.
now we're getting into it. Now we've got some. Yeah, that was what I was concerned about. The emotion would come through as a database record. And it only comes through as that. So, okay, so let's look at that next. So what if we go to emotion and we change this, let's just change this. We're going to call this record ID. And we're going to make it a formula. And the formula is going to be record ID. So that's fine. Just do it. Do it. Go. Do the thing. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to have a new field called name. And this name is going to be single line text. And it's going to be excited. And this one is going to be, I always forget what they are. Disappointed. Disappointed that I can't remember. And disappointed. Cool. So now if I look at user, I can't tell what their emotion is. This gets gross. But I know they have an emotion in the same way that I know they have achievements. So I think that's probably fine. I wish I could build aliases here. So I could say like, hey, when you show me this, actually show me what does expand do? Expand shows me. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted you to show me the, oh, I guess I see it right here. Excited. I mean, I don't really care that much. The code cares, and the code can handle all of these values. So now that I have emotion as a whole thing, I don't know that actually saved me anything. That may actually have done me no good at all. Would I be better off just saving this as a string rather than an entity in the database? The trick with that then is I can't see how many people are using each. Well, not easily. I really don't want to have to use the record IDs from a database as my detection method. How do I do this? How do I get the information that I want? Because everything else, anything that's linked to a record, they give me the record ID. I don't actually care about the record ID. If I save it as a string, so let's just change emotion just for fun. If I change this to a string, then I could say excited. I could just do that. And just with that one change, if I come back here and restart, and refresh this page and say voice developer.
Hello, and welcome to Voice Developer. What can I help you do next?
Well, it worked. So if we look at our speak here, you can see that the Amazon emotion, excited, hi, hello and welcome to Voice Developer. So it wrapped it. Well, it kind of wrapped it. Did I forget something in the code? I see a closing Amazon emotion tag right here, right? I see that. Why don't I see? Well, let's look here. If we look in the actual output, it is there. and my emotion comes through as excited, which I would expect it to do. Is that the way I want to do this, though? Where I'm just inserting a basic string and expecting all of that to funnel through nicely? And it's not a manual input. No one's going to typo it or screw it up. I guess so. And I mean, it did wrap my speech. It did the thing that I wanted it to do. I guess we can do that. So we've got the P, and this is a weird scrolling thing. It's weird to me that it's not showing the rest of the, like, I don't see the closing tag here, you know? I do see it here. It's the magic of scroll bars. That's why. Amazon. Okay, now I feel better. All right, so that's all good. I have my emotion coming through as excited. This is now also saved in my session attributes, which means that I now know every time that you come in that you want the voice to sound excited. Now what we need to do is build the intent that allows you to indicate to the skill that you want that emotion. It should be the easier part of this process than what we just did. Okay. So, and I also really want to clean this file up, but that's for, I think that's for another time. So let's stop debugging for a moment and let's look at our model. I actually prefer to do this here. Is this it? Yeah. So if I look at my interaction model and I look at my intents, I guess we're going to have a new intent called emotion intent. And in my emotion intent, set the emotion to excited. No. Set the emotion to emotion. And then I'm going to have to go create a slot type that is called emotion. I should call it sweet emotion, right? This is going to be excited or disappointed. Those are my two values. We could add some synonyms. Hyped. I'll add more emotions later. So let's take. Okay. So that gets me my emotion slot type. I still need to come here, go to the emotion intent, fix my slot type to be emotion. Set the emotion to emotion. Sound emotion, right? Like sound excited or sound disappointed. Change the emotion to emotion. All right, for now. So we're going to go to our JSON editor and we're going to find our slot that we just created, which should be down here, emotion intent. I just don't like fiddling with all the JSON syntax. I always forget what it is. So down here, I have office hours intent, and then I'm just going to say emotion intent, and we save that. But then we also need to get slot type, which is probably way down here at the bottom. Yeah. So then we're not going to go all the way to the bottom. We're going to go types. We're going to go right here. Are we, or have we been adding them to the bottom? Because I have some really big slot types. Yeah, it looks like keep those big dogs at the bottom. What's this one? Product and sound effect. We could slap it right in here. Okay. And then what I like to do is format all of my slots like this. So do that here really quick. Makes it so much easier to read. And breaking it all into individual lines like that. That looks good. I've got both of those. Let's give that a little save. So I have my slot and my intent now. Now I need to write the code to actually catch. And so that's going to require a new handler, and this is going to be emotion. So I have these alphabetical, so we'll do this one. This is going to be emotion intent handler. And that means this will be emotion intent. This will be emotion, and we'll have to go create all those files. Okay, so did I name that properly? Is that actually called emotion intent? Emotion intent, right there. All right, so I have the model built. We're doing the thing that Jeff doesn't like to do, which is that I'm making a whole bunch of changes across a number of files, and we're just going to wait to deploy any of it until I'm done. Always a bad idea, but sometimes it works out for us. So in handlers, I have, let's do something simple like, no, this is going to have some data insertion, updating. What's a good example of that? Answer intent is big. We'll start, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to do a save as. We're going to call this emotion intent. Yes. Okay. Emotion intent, and down here we got to call it emotion intent. And then over here in this, we've got to do a const emotion intent require. Emotion intent is there, and then we also need it here. Wonderful. Okay, so now we have the whole file. Now what we need to do is get resolved answer. Okay, so yeah, so we've got a couple of conditions here. Let's get rid of these to-dos because these are not for us. We have spoken answer and resolved answer. We're going to need these, and we're going to say if nothing was resolved, then we're not going to pick anything for them. We're just going to be very deliberate about this. If spoken answer doesn't equal undefined, yeah, I think we can get rid of the. I don't even have a way for you to get into this slot without providing a slot value. So we can say if resolved answer, spoken answer isn't undefined, then I'm not going to save missed answers for this. And we're going to have to do like emotion apology. Is that what we're going to call this? Sorry, I don't have. Yeah, let's just go write one of those right now so we know what we're going to say. So if we look at speech, we're going to have, they're going to fall right in here somewhere. So let's just do insert record. Emotion apology. I'm sorry. I heard you say spoken words, but the only emotions currently available are excited and disappointed. I should do the thing. I should get real meta on this. So we should take the excited. Guys, see what I'm doing here? So for my reply, where I tell you like, hey, that's not a thing you can do, I'm going to say you can say excited or disappointed, and I'm going to do them as if they are excited and disappointed. I love little inside jokes. Okay, so this is going to be excited. Nope. There, and then after disappointed. And so this becomes this and high and high.
sorry I heard you say spoken words, but the only emotions currently available are excited and disappointed. And then this is going to get all the locales of English, because that's what I speak. And now I have an emotion apology, which means that I can come in here and I can say get random speech, and this is going to be emotion apology. Whoa. Emotion apology, and then my speak output is actually going to be, well, let's call this emotion apology also. Emotion apology. And then I'm going to replace spoken words with what you said. So if you say, change the emotion to angry, I could say, I'm sorry, I heard you say angry, but the only emotions currently available are excited and disappointed. And then it'll add something else like, what else would you like to try? Or what else do you want to do? So that feels pretty cool. And then I think we can just say, if resolved answer is undefined. Otherwise, I can just make this an else. I don't need this condition. Otherwise, I'm just going to take whatever the top resolved answer was, which happens to be this. So we'll call this emotion. No, I don't even need this. Whoa. I get confused on the keyboard once in a while. Oh, I kicked it to another window and everything. Wow, that's impressive, Jeff. Okay. So I don't need this. Do I? No, because it's just a string now. So we are going to save user emotion. This is another database call we'll have to make. And this is just going to be something. We can enter confirmation. I do need like a emotion confirmation. Here's the other thing. When I reply to them, I'm actually going to have to reply to them with that emotion. Like it needs to instantly take effect. So I don't need get answer. That one can go away. And this is, we'll call this emotion confirmation. And I do need an emotion confirmation. So I'm going to have to say something like emotion confirmation. I've changed your emotion to emotion. You can always change it again by saying change the emotion to excited, disappointed, or normal. And that reminds me that I need to provide that as well. Normal is the same as nothing, and that's how we'll treat it. So you can always change it again by saying change the emotion to excited, disappointed, or normal. So we have an emotion confirmation now. Great. So we're going to replace emotion with, still going to get the value. We still got to get the value out of the slot. So var emotion let's change these two. This all needs to be emotion. Emotion resolved emotion. Checking the slot value called emotion. Okay, I'm getting an action query, which I will need. If nothing was resolved, then I apologize to them and have some fun. If they did resolve something, then I want to take resolved emotion values. Why? Can I remember that syntax? We'll find out in a second. I do this all over the place. Where, like, give me any other file where they say speech con intent. Get resolve words, and then if I want that, it's speech con result dot value dot name. Why was that so hard, Jeff? Okay, it's not values, it's value. Okay, so then I have my emotion. That's, and again, we're just talking about a string. So that string, I want to save the user's emotion, but I only want to do that conditionally. Nope. See, we're making all these changes all at once, and this is gonna break me. I'm gonna be broken. So we need one more value here. It's gonna be normal. Say, we can also call this off, or change the emotion to off, normal, basic. Basic, original, always find more, excuse me, synonyms for that. I'm going to sneeze, maybe not. Okay, so now I have disappointed, excited, and normal are the three things that you'll get. So if you don't match one of those, then I'm going to tell you we don't have that emotion. And if you do match one of those, then I need to decide how I want to call my database. And so I'm going to save the value here. So we can make this real easy. If emotion normal, then emotion equals nothing. I think that works. And then I should be able to say emotion here. I should just be able to drop it in, because there's only three possible values that I could match. If it's the other two, then I want them to go in. And then emotion confirmation, that was the thing that I said I was going to say. I've changed your emotion to emotion. Okay, we don't need any of this. Speak output is where I'm taking emotion confirmation and I'm replacing the word emotion with whatever my emotion is. Do you see why I'm torn here? And then voice response. Don't need that at all. Okay. Don't need the period. Don't know why I have that. Okay. So this is where I'm going to say, I've changed your emotion to emotion. You can always change it again by saying, change the emotion to excited, disappointed, or normal. The problem I have is that I need to change it to make the update to the database. But then when I say it, I actually want to say normal again. So I think we could just take this here. Let's change that back. No. Let's go back to this world. I'm going to say if emotion normal, then emotion equals nothing. That's all fine. And then we'll just take this. It's a little gross, but it's fine. And we'll do that. So that allows me to say, hey, this is normal. Dana Voice, good morning. W. Giorgio, hello. Good to see you guys. We are building an emotion engine, which for the SSML values that allow you to set things to disappointed or excited, I'm allowing a user in this skill to say, hey, sound excited now. And then it just changes everything that it says forever to excited until you change it back. So we're in the process right now of, we've already done the like, hey, if I have a record in the database, does it work? Does it change all the speech? And it does. What we're doing now is building the intent handler to allow the user to say that they want the thing and then saving it to the database. And so I've got all of this working for the most part. What I need to do next is save their emotion to the database, which should be pretty easy to do here. So if we just look at like save user answer, update. No, I want one of these updates. Update user speech con count. Do I have another? Let's save user answer do. No, I don't want that. Don't want that. I do want this. This is what I want. Okay. So let's do a file save as, and we're going to do update user emotion. Sounds pretty deep. I'm sure if someone saw this, they're like, hey, you're working with AI and you're writing stuff called update user emotion. That sounds scary. Could you imagine if the software could just... we're just going to comment this out. I'm going to slap it to do. I would like to have achievements for everything, but I'm not doing that right now. Okay, so we're calling into Airtable. We don't need this new total. What we want to do is update the user record for the user. Handler input and emotion. We'll call it the other way. So this becomes handler input and emotion. And then emotion is just a string. And we want this to be emotion. And then this to be emotion. We just passed in. And then we're going to comment that out. And return achievement speech. Oh, I see, because this is generally called from the achievement engine. That's slightly different. Okay, that's fine. This will still work. So we're going to call update emotion. And that, whoa. And then in here, we're going to need update user emotion, which is going to go right here. And right here. Okay. All I'm doing, I'm making a call into the database, an update call, passing in the user's record ID, telling it I want the emotion field to be set to emotion. And I don't even need to return anything really, but I will return. I guess I'll return. I don't even know what to return. I don't care about any of this. Excuse me. I guess I'll just return emotion. So in here now, I have this user emotion. Well, I'll just call this user emotion. It doesn't matter. Don't care. Just don't want to get hung up on a non-return value. So I'm calling and getting my emotion confirmation from the appropriate locale. I am saving the user's emotion to the database. This, okay, if let's do this. This is getting messy. Var emotion value. Emotion value equals emotion. I'm going to do it that way. And then if emotion value equals normal, then emotion value becomes this. And then this thing here, this becomes emotion value. That means I can change this back to just emotion. That means I can say if emotion doesn't equal normal, else so what we're doing here is that this is the last little like playing with emotion that I need to do. Thomas, good question. Can you build Alexa skills that only work with devices with screens? I don't believe that you can get through certification that way. There has to be some voice thing. Now, there are lots of situations where your game really is only very good with a screen. But my recommendation for certification, you could even build a variation of your game and detect that they have no screen and then give them some basic experience. But I don't believe that you can get away with having no voice experience at all. What was I doing? Oh, I wanted to get the SSML again. So if emotion doesn't equal normal, then what we're going to do is slap this in here. So that's the high, because we haven't modified that value yet. We're going to change this to be emotion, right? Because we want it to be the thing. And then, gosh, if this, we've got to have 400 errors. There's no way this is going to work on the first go. There's just no way. And then emotion intent is going to do all the things. Okay. I feel like we've done it. We have emotion intent. Let's just give this a look. Oh, yeah, I already found an issue. Spoken emotion, copy, spoken answer. Spoken answer. So that got fixed. I see any other answers in here. Solved answer. Those would have all caught me. Glad I checked. Okay, so the word answer is gone. So I'm checking my slot called emotion, which I'm pretty sure is what it is called. If we come back up here. Slot name is emotion. Great. So we get our resolutions, we get our action query. If they didn't resolve anything, then we give them an apology, and that's our speak output. If they did resolve something, then we take whatever the first one was. I don't know how you would match multiple, but let's say that you did. We'll take the first one. We set a emotion value that we use to insert into the database, so that if you said normal or something that matches with it, I will instead just insert no record into the database. And then I give you an output. If you said something, if the emotion was disappointed or excited, then we're going to reply to you as if you're disappointed or excited. Interesting. It actually feels like I'm not doing this in the right place, because if I do this emotion thing, this will not include my action query. So we're going to take this piece out of here. This is a variation from what I normally do, but we're going to put it here and here so that it's inside the emotion tag. Does that make sense? But that also means that here, speak output needs let's see if we can do this properly, like that, and then we can do that. So we have, okay, I think we have all the pieces now. Everything should, oh my goodness, here we go. Here we go. Does it even build? Does it build? It does. That's an amazing first step. Okay, the skill is open. Let's also eliminate my value from the database. So now I have no value in my database. And I want to say change the emotion to excited. Womp womp.
You asked for excited sound effects. I found one. This sound effect is called crowd excited cheer.
That's not
One.
what I asked you for. So change the, oh, yeah, okay.
See you soon, raccoon.
The reason that this didn't work is that I'm just in a hurry. So we need to do ask deploy. All of my files are saved. So I didn't push my new model. I didn't push the intent. I didn't put like all the stuff that is required for this to actually work. Need to push that back up to the cloud in order to have that model actually work. So we're just going to sit down. We're going to take a little water break. And as soon as it tells me that it's done, we'll try this again. All right. In the meantime, let's look at my cell phone because that's something we do. Oh my gosh, a good friend of mine that I worked with at Microsoft for a decade. She was there at Microsoft before I got there, and she's been there since I left, which, you know, I left Microsoft in 2015. She's been there 20 years. 20 years at Microsoft. That's amazing. Incredible. I'm having a hard time believing I've been at Amazon for 6 years. That's an eternity. When you go look, I think there's a way I can. I think there's a way you can look at how many people started after you at Amazon. I've got to be in the upper 90% at this point. The time does go by fast. Yeah, Chris, that was perfect timing. Just as I was noticing that, you texted me. I love interactive theater. This is amazing. All right, we're waiting for our deploy. It seems like everything's working. I haven't broken anything in the pipeline, which is always good. Let's go. It's updating all my code to my production Lambda production. This skill's never been technically in production, but it will be the production Lambda at some point. I'm still going to do local debugging though, because if something breaks, then I can see all the debugging messages and everything. So let's go. Skill is already enabled. Great. All right, let's re-roll our debug console. That worked marvelously. Let's just start over. I don't like to clutter up the session. So we'll say open voice developer, and that should be fine.
Hello, and welcome to Voice Developer. This skill can give you information and answers about Alexa skill development. What can I help you do next?
And you guys can hear that well, right? Like the Alexa sound comes through the microphone and everything. Is that a big thumbs up there? Yeah, sounds great. Okay, cool. That's part of the reason I got a soundboard is so I can run the output of my computer back through the microphone on the way out. Okay, what we want to say is change the emotion to excited. Please work.
You just triggered emotion intent.
Well, that's an easy fix. I forgot. You create a new intent handler that you need to register it. And so my emotion intent handler has not been registered. And this is not a super popular thing, but it's something people will try. Let's re-roll the dice here. And with that one little change, is this going to work? It didn't break yet. I don't have a record in my database, no emotion. So it obviously didn't get to where I wanted it to go. Let's say change the emotion to excited, and let's try that again. Please.
Jeff, I had trouble doing what you asked.
Okay.
Please
Now
try
we gotta do
again.
some debugging. Okay, so cannot read property 0 of undefined, emotion intent, line 18. Because this doesn't go here. It goes here. You guys aren't helping me. The pair programming that's happening on this channel is disappointing at best. No, I'm just kidding. But you guys should have caught that. I should have caught that. Okay. Let's go again. How about change the emotion to excited?
Jeff, I had trouble doing what you asked. Please
Wow.
try again.
Data.saveUserEmotion is not a function. Well, you're right, because it's called update user emotion. Goodness. This is just, who did this? Okay. Update user emotion. How about that? That one's better. Change the emotion to excited. Oh, she's going to be so excited when it works.
I've changed your emotion to excited. You can always change it again by saying, change the emotion to excited, disappointed, or normal. What should we do now?
Well, let's see what change the emotion to disappointed.
I've changed your emotion to disappointed. You can always change it again by saying, change the emotion to excited, disappointed, or normal. Did you know I can repeat what I just said? Just say, repeat that, to hear anything I say a second time.
So you can see that disappointed has been saved in my database. Now the master test, change the emotion to normal.
Changed your emotion to normal. You can always change it again by saying, change the emotion to excited, disappointed, or normal. Did you know I can repeat what I just said?
Why does that still sound disappointed?
Just say, repeat that, to hear anything I say a second time.
Why did disappointed still come through? What if I just say, like, play a laser sound effect? No, not a laser sound effect. Say, give me a speech con.
Guess what? Another thing I can do is play speech cons. Bazinga!
See,
Just
that sounds
ask me
normal.
to
So
say a speech con.
this feels like an order
What
of
else can I
operations
help
kind
you
of
with?
thing. So emotion confirmation is right here. This is where she says, hey, I got your thing. What? This doesn't feel right to me. Emotion disappointed. So there's where I said disappointed. I changed your emotion to normal, but what? Why does it say that my emotion is disappointed? Where am I console logging that? Console logging. What? I don't even see a console log. Why don't I see? Oh, it's probably in my helper. Is that where it is? Yeah, here, what? Oh, because we're applying the SSML for what's in their session attributes. And so, so that's something else we're gonna have to do. Is we need a live update because that doesn't get updated till the next round trip. This is a good one. This is a good problem to find. So if we update their emotion, which is happening here, then we should also in their session attributes set their emotion something like this, something like that, set the emotion equal to whatever emotion value is. Emotion value. That's not really true either, though. I mean, I guess this, if I set just this one time, then in helper, it's going to say it's going to do it no matter what. So I need to set it to undefined. So if I say undefined, like that, did that solve my problem? I think helper still needs some help. We only do this if I go back here, if emotion doesn't equal undefined. So I've already got the safeguard in place. I like when I'm smarter than I am. So that means that in here, if I set it to undefined, I just wonder how that's going to work with the database call. I guess we'll find out. So right now, my emotion is set to something. What I want to say is change the emotion to excited. Where did that go?
I've changed your emotion to excited. You can always change it again by saying, change the emotion to excited, disappointed, or normal. What can I help you do next?
Okay, so now if I say change the emotion to normal, does it break? Can I set it to undefined? Is that just going to let it fly?
I've changed your emotion to normal. You can always change it again by saying, change the emotion to excited, disappointed, or normal. What would you like to do next?
Hey, C# Fritz, good morning. I just built an emotion engine. So now we can do, well, even though it's working, I'm going to have her be disappointed. So now we can say disappointed, and she is going
I've
to
changed your emotion to disappointed. You can always change it again by saying, change the emotion to excited, disappointed, or normal. What should we do now?
Oh, we got one more thing we got to test. Change the emotion to tacos.
I'm sorry. I heard you say tacos, but the only emotions currently available are excited and disappointed.
Excited?
What would you like to try?
So Jeff, I don't know if you just heard it, but you heard her speaking. She's speaking in kind of a disappointed tone. And if I change the emotion to excited like this, you'll hear a pretty vast difference.
I've changed your emotion to excited. You can always change it again by saying, change the emotion to excited, disappointed, or normal. Did you know I can repeat what I just said? Just say, repeat that, to hear anything I say a second time.
Awesome. So we now have the ability for her to sound excited or for her to sound disappointed, or for the user to set it back to normal. So C# Fritz, this is kind of a meta skill in that this is being built for voice developers. One of the things that I find is really challenging is I want to know what a thing sounds like. What does it sound like when she's excited? Or what does it sound like when she's disappointed? And so this will allow someone to come into the skill and say, change the emotion to excited. And then as they're using the skill, they can hear what excited sounds like. Well, Gold Zulu, that's going to be my next project. I believe, let's go try this right now. So if we try voice and we take one of these and we say voice name count, we'll just say, I am not a real human. So we'll take that. And this is actually something that I really wanted to try anyway, because I think this will apply to all the voices as well. But we're gonna find that out here in a second. So that's my voice. And then we'll go back to emotion and we'll take this piece. Let's do some mixing and matching.
And then we'll just get the closing tags. Typing. Okay. So we'll bump that down a line, and then we'll bump that there. So,
I am not a real human.
oh, Kendra, you did not sound excited there. So maybe not.
I am not a real human. I am not a real human.
It does not appear. We can change this to Brian. I mean, maybe some voices do. I
am not a real human.
thought Brian did, maybe.
I am not a real human.
No. Yes, C# Fritz, you could totally do that. You could absolutely build a skill based on Clip Talk that would let people know with an excited voice that something is happening. But it does not look like with these other foreign voices that I can do that. So, and foreign is the wrong word. Poly voices is the one I meant, because there's American versions and whatever. So, no, it doesn't look like those emotions apply. That doesn't mean that they won't in the future. But that's this is another example of a good thing to know, though. As a developer is building, one of the other options I'm going to give them, you can see that here in my table. We have the emotion. Now we're just storing that value. But we'll also have poly voice. So if you say, hey, I want to use Brian's voice, then it will use Brian's voice. And then if you change the emotion, you're going to notice that, like, oh, emotion doesn't seem to apply to Brian's voice. You'll be able to play with that stuff just by talking to the skill, rather than having to cut and paste all the things I just did and drop them into a tool. So this is just an easy way as you're working. If you want to know what something sounds like, just talk to the skill. You don't have to go dig into all the tech docs and set up in a emulator and all that stuff. So I think that's going to be it for us today. It's 10 o'clock. I have a very important meeting in a couple of hours that I still have some prep I need to do. So I think we did it. We did the thing we set out to accomplish today, which was to build the emotion engine. But what this also means is that we've laid the foundation for how we're going to do a lot of the other stuff in the future. So we'll be able to change a poly voice. We'll be able to change a number of other aspects as we look at this SSML stuff, right? We have things like effects. So we can say whispering is on or off. We have domain. This is things like if I want it to sound like a newscaster. Actually, let's do this one. So if I wanted to sound like a newscaster, I can come back in here and we'll change the excited. We'll take that out and we'll change this to this instead. And now no voice. This is the evening news.
This is the evening news.
I wish I had more text to have her speak. Let's get some speech. Do anything long here? There we go. So if we take this and put it right here, it sounds more like a newscaster.
And say things like, play a sound effect, or give me a speech, Con, or what is the latest news? You can also ask about any topic related to building Alexa skills, like tell me about persistence.
I don't know if you guys can
Just
totally
ask.
hear the difference, but it's definitely different. Anyway, that is what we did for today. We have lots and lots of other properties and things that we can play with. There's also prosody, which allows things like slow, medium, fast, extra fast, pitch, volume. All of these things are properties that we could allow someone to modify and change. And it is interesting to be able to see how they play together nicely. So we will continue down this path of implementing a bunch of this SSML stuff in the near future. But for now, I'm going to call it a day, and we'll see you guys next week. My schedule is not nearly as crazy next week, so I won't be only Friday. I'll try to get on 2 or 3 days next week. But this was super cool. Again, if you guys don't know this, before I wrap everything up here, if you go to my GitHub, one of the I'll have to go fix my customized pins, but I have a repository, should be a recent one, called Voice Developer. Actually, we can we'll just do it right here. We'll do it right here on the screen. Added emotion tent. and we'll push all of that stuff up. So if you want to see any of the stuff that we have here, you can jump into that GitHub repository, and that is a live version of exactly what we're working on right now. So you can take a look, and if you see something awesome or you want to contribute to it, I'm not going to turn it down. Obviously, I'll have to do normal review, whatever. But anyway, check it out. Let me know if you have any questions about skill building or whatever. Otherwise, everybody have a fantastic weekend. Oh, I should mention this too. I have the best sports weekend maybe of all time. I'm going to a high school football game tonight. Tomorrow night, I'm going to a Cleveland Guardians playoff game in Cleveland. I am staying the night. I get up in the morning. I'm going to the Cleveland Browns game against the New England Patriots on Sunday afternoon. And then there is another Cleveland Guardians playoff game that evening that I am also going to. So it is a full weekend of sports. And I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, that's it for me. I will see you guys early next week. Have a great weekend.